experience. He was that guy that you could ask, Joe, I need you to take care of something. He would do it.
This morning, we are remembering fallen Florida Highway Patrol Trooper Joseph Bullock. Hello, I'm Ashley Walters. We are streaming on WPTV.com, the WPTV mobile app, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and Apple TV. Now, we're just an hour away now from a public memorial service for Trooper Joseph Bullock. He was killed in the line of duty. Now, Trooper Bullock spent his entire 19-year law enforcement career based out of Fort Pierce. He was shot and killed at a rest area in Martin County last week. Trooper Bullock's memorial service will be held this morning at a church in Bradenton, and he'll be laid to rest at Sarasota National Cemetery. A WPTV News Channel 5 anchor Michael Williams is live right now outside the church in Bradenton. And Michael, what is the mood like out there? What are you seeing?
By the hundreds, really by the thousands, you see law enforcement officers from around the nation who have gathered here, from Alaska, from New York, from Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Utah, Georgia, Kentucky, and of course from across our region. Every law enforcement agency in the Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast represented here, or virtually so, making their way here to show their support for a fallen comrade. And before we go to aerials of the processional this morning, I want to show you one very touching image here. An FHP patrol car, and on the front, Bullock, 595. That was Trooper Joseph Bullock's call sign. The 42-year-old, again, dying 8 days ago as he responded to help a disabled motorist who then shot and killed the trooper. His mother and father here, his two sisters here, being offered the support of the law enforcement community literally from around this nation at the service at Bayside Community Church about to begin. And as we mentioned at the outset, we will have the honor guard ceremony in just a moment, so moving as the casket carrying Trooper Joseph Bullock was brought by honor guard into the church. But the procession stretched for miles as we go to aerial images of that, literally for miles, as people, ordinary citizens from around this community gathered and lined the streets, and as one police unit after another gathered and offered an official escort. Firefighters here, first responders, again, from around the community, around the nation, all so deeply intertwined in understanding the life and service that Trooper Bullock offered his community. We talked about big things he did in his career, those he rescued and helped, but it was the thousands of small things he did over a 19-year career that had people care for him so much, appreciate so much the daily heroism of somebody who said, today I'll put my safety, my life on the line to serve a community. And every single person here, man, woman, and people who have lined the streets, and ordinary citizens here did so in huge numbers this day, offering their final respects to somebody who they understood had stood up for the virtues, truth, honor, duty, and ultimately sacrifice for Trooper Joseph Bullock, 42 years old. Again, just moments ago, the honor guard arrived at the Bayside Community Church here in Sarasota. Let's listen in for a moment. Dignitaries, including Governor Ron DeSantis, will be here, but the dignitaries, we were told by FHP, have said, we are here to pay our respects. This day is about family. It's about Trooper Joseph Bullock. It's about his mom and dad, his sisters, his law enforcement brethren from Troop L out of Fort Pierce, where he served his entire 19-year career. And for law enforcement members from around the country who've gathered here, and as one put it, we're gathering far too often for these type of services, these types of remembrances, but we want to show this family how unified we are in support, admiration, and respect for our fallen comrade who will be held in their hearts forever. Later, after this service, which will include, among other speakers, we were told, Martin County Sheriff William Snyder, the service will then conclude and a procession will move to Sarasota National Cemetery, about 20 minutes away from here. Trooper Bullock, early on in his life, served in the United States Air Force and the security forces before coming to the Treasure Coast and serving his entire career as a Florida Highway Patrol trooper. And when he began that job, there was a captain in the Florida Highway Patrol by the name of Darrell Lohr. Most of you now know him as the Indian River County Sheriff. But he remembered that young man and remembered he was going places and remembered the path he cut and the rigor and integrity he brought to the job. News Channel 5 anchor John Shainman sat down with the sheriff about his remembrances of Trooper Bullock. Here's his report.
In 2001, 7 years before he would be elected sheriff of Indian River County, Darrell Orr was a captain with the Florida Highway Patrol.
The captains of the districts would receive new troopers probably about twice a year.
That August, an Air Force veteran named Joe Bullock joined his ranks.
A fast learner, smart young man for sure. And I vividly recall when Trooper Bullock and his other classmates showed up at the Fort Pierce district, immediately recognized his sense and understanding of military law enforcement life.
The sheriff knew early on that Trooper Bullock was someone special and someone who could be counted on at a moment's notice.
In 04 and 05, through the hurricanes, I could depend on Trooper Bullock for almost any need. In fact, we would dispatch him to other places and other troopers throughout the state for other disasters. He was that guy that you could ask, Joe, I need you to take care of something. He would do it.
Trooper Bullock, who was shot and killed last week along I-95 in Martin County after pulling over to help a stranded motorist, spent nearly 20 years on the Treasure Coast, despite opportunities to move closer to family.
I recall when Trooper Bullock bought his first home in Port St. Lucie, how excited he was to come in and tell me about it. But he simply enjoyed working the streets of Martin and St. Lucie County and training some of the younger troopers.
Sheriff Lohr says he plans to meet with Trooper Bullock's family before the funeral Thursday to pay his respects in person and let them know what he meant to his community.
Popular among his peers, no doubt about it, certainly will be missed.
In Indian River County, John Shainman, WPTV, News Channel 5.
And again, we stand by live now at Bayside Community Church here in Bradenton, and you're looking on at a Florida Highway Patrol vehicle draped with the call sign for Trooper Bullock 595, and with remembrances of that trooper who gave his life in the line of duty. We so often think about them on the job, but we were reminded by condolences, many of which I had a chance to read yesterday, public condolences about the person behind the badge, a man of great humor, his friends called him. In his Port St. Lucie neighborhood, they called him Neighbor Joe, and one person wrote he was the kind of person the minute you met Joe Bullock, you knew you wanted him to be your friend. He had, another said, a great sense of humor. Yet another said he'd never met a bigger Pittsburgh Steelers fan. All part of the fabric, all part of the texture of a life, of a multifaceted life lived and lived fully on our Treasure Coast, though he would always find time to come over and visit his family on the West Coast and then make his way back over to start his shift with Troop L with Florida Highway Patrol. As the sheriff had noted, he could have come back home, but the Treasure Coast, he fell in love with it both personally and professionally and decided to put his roots down in the Treasure Coast and to give his professional service to our community. Ultimately, sadly, tragically, suddenly, he gave his life doing that duty on what should have been, and how often have we misused this word, a routine stop, helping a disabled motorist. But every law enforcement officer reminds us there never was a routine stop, and there never will be. And the men and women, many hundreds, thousands who have gathered here this day in this place from around the nation will leave this place knowing the sacrifice their comrade has made, with heavy hearts, but also carrying him in their memory. And with all of that, will go back out on the streets, out on the front lines, putting their safety, their lives on the line every day in service to our communities. We'll have the service for you. Again, it should commence at about 11 o'clock. A number of speakers, dignitaries from around the state, including the governor, are here. And then he will be buried. Trooper Joseph Bullock, 42 years old, a former Air Force service member at Sarasota National Cemetery. Complete coverage both online and on air today on WPTV News Channel 5. For now, reporting from Bradenton, I'm Michael Williams. Back to you, Ashley.
Okay, Michael, it really is extremely powerful to see the thousands of law enforcement officers and how they come together from such a great distance. You say that they've come from multiple states as well, from across the country.
They have. In fact, the farthest away is a trooper who has come here from Alaska. And as it also happens, the honor flag that is here today is from Alaska as well. That honor flag is moved around the country, sadly, because it is used and represents an officer who has fallen. And it has traveled too much and too far. Its last stop was Alaska. The honor flag is from Alaska. Also, a law enforcement officer, a trooper, I am told, as far away as Alaska here, but I saw them, again, as I said at the outset, Georgia, Kentucky, Utah, Pennsylvania, New York, on and on the list went. All of them here, all of them to pay respects and offer one final salute for a person who will live in their hearts and their memories, somebody who, like they, got out every day to do his work, to do his service. And he will always, always be remembered by his brethren and by the community he served. Ashley.
Okay, Michael, thank you so much for that report. Of course, we'll continue to stay with your reports throughout the day. Well, the family has now released a statement saying in part, quote, "We are deeply touched by the outpouring of sympathy from friends, family, and even people who never knew him from around the country," end quote. The department has tweeted, "At this time, there is no officially sanctioned fundraising account for Trooper Joseph Bullock. If you happen to see a suspicious fundraising page, please report it. You can call 1-866-9-NO-SCAM. That number will also put online on WPTV.com. You can also head to myfloridalegal.com to report any suspicious activity. Well, Congressman Brian Mast has paid tribute to Trooper Bullock on the House floor in Washington, D.C.
And you paid dearly that others would be safe. There are no words or actions that can repay the debt we each owe heroes like yourself.
Well, many people have shared their condolences online. Perhaps you have at home. You can share your tributes to our WPTV Instagram page as well. Now, the New York Yankees have sent condolences for Trooper Bullock as well. The team sent this patriotic wreath to the Florida Highway Patrol, and the message read, quote, "Our thoughts and prayers are with the Bullock family and his FHP family." WPTV will be streaming today's services for Trooper Bullock. Our news team will bring you complete coverage throughout the day on air and online and through your WPTV app as well. Thank you for trusting us with this important coverage.